back to my channel. For today's video, we are keeping it light and simple. I did a video the other day of like my tips and tricks for working from home, which I will link up here. And one of my first tips in there was get ready for your day. And that doesn't necessarily mean get full glam, but it definitely means taking a little bit of time to get ready because it just makes you feel so much more productive. So I did want to walk you guys through my like quarantine on the couch go-to look. This is something I'll do when I have to sit on a Zoom conference or really just get to work. Taking that like 10 minutes in the morning to get ready is going to be the best way for you to like stimulate as if you're going to work so that you can really get into the groove of being productive. I noticed on the days where I don't do my makeup and I don't get dressed and I literally like PJs on the couch, I am so much less productive than when I take a little bit of time to just put a little bit of myself together, and I suddenly am so much more productive. So if you want to see how we got this look in like 6 easy products, make sure to keep on watching and don't forget to subscribe because I do upload 3-ish times a week. And that's going to be the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. So if you want to see how we got this look and just hang out with me while we get ready, stay tuned. So to prime the skin lately, just because I want something super easy, I've been using my 2 Farsali primers. The first is the liquid glass, which is hydration and hyaluronic acid, and it is kind of equal parts a primer and a serum. And I start by taking that pretty much everywhere. I focus more of it on the perimeters of the face, and then whatever's left on my fingers, I will just wipe down the T-zone. And I will give it a couple seconds for it to really sink into the skin. With this product, it kind of just gives everything that healthy, luminous glow. Since I'm not going out and I'm not experiencing everything out in the world, I don't have to worry about, you know, as much greasiness because again, I am not leaving my house. And then down the T-zone, I do take the liquid powder, which is going to be a mattifying powder effect. And I'll take that and I'll just kind of put a little bit on the forehead, down the nose. Basically everywhere I end up putting concealer because those tend to be the places I do get the most oily. And I will just apply that, and I will actually feather it towards the cheek. I won't take it on the perimeters because that's where I like to keep that little glow, but I will concentrate it down. And now I do have more skincare videos coming because right now my skin is really acting up, especially because again, can't go outside, so stuck inside. My skin is not happy with that, but that's kind of why I've been doing a lot less on the makeup side. For complexion, I've been going super simple. So I start by taking my concealer. This is the Wander Beauty Dualist Concealer. It has 2 sides. One looks like a lipstick, but it is a matte cream concealer. And then the other side is an illuminating liquid concealer. So I do take both of these. And I will start by taking the matte concealer basically down the T-zone, highlighting everywhere I tend to get oily. And I will put a little bit of this over any spots that need a little extra attention. And I did want to acknowledge, I did not shave today because I did want to emphasize that this is like my everyday. Normally, like a day I'm filming, I'll shave. I will be super prepared. But I want to acknowledge that this is actually what I've been doing. And then taking the liquid, I'm just going to kind of dot that in the places I want a little bit more glow. And I'm actually going to take this like a true concealer directly under the eyes. I will be taking a tiny bit of either a tinted moisturizer or a foundation around this, but I do want to get this on first. And normally I would go right in with a sponge, but I do want to grab a brush first. This is the Smashbox Buildable Foundation Brush, and I'm just going to very lightly pat this out before I go in with the sponge, because the sponge is going to soak up some product, and I really want to make sure that I've moved it around where I want it first. And notice I am really just patting it. I'm not like swiping, especially on the spots where I wanted that extra coverage. I really want to make sure that that isn't moved too much. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm going to kind of just move down all the other places where I want a little bit of coverage. Then we switch to the sponge and blend everything in. Now notice how that just kind of lightly evened out the complexion. There are still some areas where I need a little bit more coverage just because of how it blended out. So I will go in and add a little bit more just in those places. I find, especially on these less is more kind of days, it is so much easier to layer, go in light, and build it up as you need it, as opposed to going in with way too much, and next thing you know, you are full beat glam for your living room. I saw a meme going around that was somebody literally with a palette in their hands, like this, doing their makeup, and it said, me getting full beat to go sit on the couch. And I feel like that's all of us right now. I'm going to take whatever's on the sponge and just kind of pull it across my lids. I haven't been doing eyeshadow. I've really just been whatever's on the sponge, pulling that around the face. And notice how the face just looks evened out. I mean, it's a little dry still because, not dry, I'm sorry. It's a little flat still just because, again, all we've done is add concealer. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab the Beauty For Real Bronze and Glow and the Beauty For Real Blush and Glow. Both of these are going to be for adding glow, bronze, and blush. So I'm going to take the bronzer first, and I'm just going to add a little bit, basically anywhere we contour. Because I'm staying in, we're not going out, I don't need it to be quite as long wearing. These are super long wearing for anybody who has more dry skin. My skin's a little more oily, so I find I really need to powder these if I want them to stay in place, but I don't actually mind that. So I'll go in with a little bit of the Bronze and Glow. That looks like a lot more than it is, trust me. And grabbing my IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe number 10 Angled Radiance brush, I'm just going to stipple that in, and then once I feel like it's blended in a little bit, I will go in small circular motions just to really blend it out, and that's just going to sculpt the cheeks. Now notice I have not powdered the skin yet, so I put quite a bit on because I know I will be taking powder over it. If you're a little bit on the drier side and you don't powder after your cream products, you can always go in with a little bit less. But since I know I'm going to be veiling product over it, I want it to still be visible through the powder. And since that base is down, now I can take a tiny bit more of that concealer and just clean up right under the cream product. Now that the brush has kind of been used to blend everything out, I'm just going to take the sponge, pull everything, and just finesse the product into the skin. I know this seems like it's a lot of steps and it's taking forever, but keep in mind, I pop it on, I blend, I grab my sponge. This really doesn't take longer than like 5 minutes in the morning. A little bit of the Coral Crush Blush and Glow. I say a little and then I put a lot on. This I actually go a little heavier on because I do blend it right out with the sponge rather than a brush. And see how sheer that blends out? And again, I am still going to powder this, so it looks intense at first, then we throw some powder on, and it really mellows it out. And I'm going to be taking High Tide, which is the highlighter on the Bronze and Glow, and I'm going to add a tiny bit to the high points of the face. I don't normally highlight the entire face, you guys know that, but I've been stuck at home, so why not? And we're a little bronzy, a little glowy. Perfect. Next, I'm going to grab any foundation powder you want. I'm using the MAC Studio Fix in NW25. And I'm just going to swirl that on a fluffy brush. And I'm just going to set everything down. If you're a little more dry, this is a step you can totally skip. I find it's necessary, but again, I am super oily. At this point, based on the quantity of everything we put on and the powder, it should really look like you have nothing on the skin. I mean, you guys saw me before. I definitely have evened everything out, but a little bit of blush, a little bit of bronzy, a little bit of glow. There's a little bit of sculpting to the face, but it's not overwhelming like we're going super glam. It's super appropriate for like that Zoom conference on the couch. Next, I'm going to grab a quick tinted brow gel. This is the Milk Kush Brow. And I'm really just pulling this through the brows with like next to no pressure. I'm just using this to kind of shape and fill in, just to kind of negate some of that powderiness that comes with all of the powder I dusted all over them. Now, just because it's how I like to look, I'm going to grab the Alamar Blush Trio. This is in the medium shades. And I'm going to take a tiny bit of Isla right here, just a very small amount, just to add a little bit more of that blushy tone to the apple of the cheek. I'm going in super light, because again, this is not full glam. I'm not doing this to look like I have a lot of blush on. I'm really just using this to make the face look a little flushed, something that's a little more natural, like I didn't just add a whole bunch of concealer to the face. Then I grab an illuminating setting spray. This is the Wet n Wild Jungle Rock from Bretman Rock. And while it's wet, with my sponge, just kind of pressing those powders into the creams so that everything looks like it is one smooth layer. And believe it or not, we are almost done. So I'm going to grab a super fluffy highlight, and believe it or not, we are almost done. So I'm going to grab a super fluffy highlighting brush, and I'm going to go into an Hourglass highlighter, and I'm actually just going to take a little bit of the highlighty strobe blush and the highlighter itself, and just add a little bit of that to the cheeks and over the eyelids, just to add a little bit of like that soft focus glow. I don't want this to look like highlighter. I really just want it to look soft and natural. And you see how that just gives you that soft focus light on the cheeks? All right, I'm going to quickly curl my lashes and throw on a small coat of mascara. I am going to be using, because I am going for that like less is more, I don't want a lot of volume. I really just want to lift and curl my lashes. So I'm going to be going into my Benefit Roller Lash, which if you guys saw my favorite mascaras video, I will link it up here. It is my favorite because, again, that lift and separate, it makes the lashes you have just look super long and luscious, but just kind of giving them a little bit of an oomph. And you guys don't ever really see me without mascara or without any form of eyeshadow on. So this is how the lashes look with no shadow behind them. See how it just looks a little bit fuller, a little bit longer, a little bit more separated. And now normally you guys know I will take forever to do my mascara because that's just how much effort it takes for me to go nice and slow. But on a day like today, again, I just kind of comb through. I'm not looking for a whole lot of length or volume. I really just want to lift them up, give them a cute curl, and make it a little less obvious that I put no effort into my eyeshadow today. Alright, we're just about done. Going into that same Hourglass palette, I'm going to grab the darkest contour shade, and I'm just going to trace my crease like 1 or 2 times. I'm not doing an eyeshadow look. I'm really just, you know, we put that shimmer on the lid. Now I'm just throwing some definition on so it looks like I took time to do my eyeshadow, when in reality, we did not. And then using that same highlight shade, I'm just going to throw a little bit on the inner corner. I've said this before, but you guys know, the fastest way to make it look like you put in effort on an eyeshadow look, even if you didn't, is just to highlight your inner corner. See how it just opens up the eye and makes it look like we took so much more time than we did? And as always, feather it towards the lid, not necessarily onto the lid, but just towards the lid, just to open up the eyes and make it look a little bit more intentional. And finally for lip, again, barely there, not even noticeable. I'm grabbing my Dior Lip Maximizer in the shade Rosewood. And this is a plumping gloss that I'm really just going to put a tiny bit on the lips. Now, I have gone as far as to call this my favorite lip gloss. I don't know if it still is, but at one point it definitely was because it plumps, it tingles a little bit, it gives you that nice flush of pink. But my favorite part is no matter how many times you layer this up, it does not get gummy or sticky. So you can really like throw it on and look great all day without those like little globs of dried gloss. And that is the finished look. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today, getting ready for sitting on the couch on a Zoom conference for the next hour and a half. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to let me know down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.